YouTube, Awesome Writer here with another Hasbro discussion video. Now recently, there's been a lot of problems with the Lightning Collection. I mean, there's been inconsistencies throughout its life, but recently the problems have gotten worse, bringing up a lot of discussions. And it brings up a topic that I see discussed quite often, which is Hasbro doesn't care about the brand. And is that true? And I wanted to talk about that. I think it's a very complicated question and answer. I can't answer it, so leave the video. Bye. In all seriousness though, what I mean is that I don't think there's a clear-cut answer, and I don't think we're going to know everything behind it. I think that there's a lot of things that I can logically infer. I think a lot of the extreme statements fans make are untrue. Like, there's all these people thinking that they want to kill it on purpose, that they hate it. They take everything so personally. Like, you know, a lot of the problems we have happen in other brands. You know, it kind of plays into this thing in a lot of fan cultures. Honestly, most major fan cultures, of the fans constantly believing they're under attack. Like, they hate fans as they act hateable. But something that happens in a lot of brands. It's also not unique to us. I think painting the situation with such a broad brush is a bad idea. To say Hasbro hates the brand, like everybody, literally every employee, from the leader of Hasbro, whatever, like CEO, the leader, to the intern, they hate it. That's too broad a brush to paint it with, guys. It reminds me of a lot of the discussion around the Disney era of Power Rangers that still happens, where Disney hated it, they wanted to kill it off, they didn't care. Like, everybody, again, from the leader down to the intern. It's like, again, that's too broad of a brush. With the Disney era, yeah, Disney didn't care about PR, but not in the way that they're like, we're gonna sabotage it on purpose, like the fans think we do. Like, they just didn't care about making it grow. They basically, Disney corporate, just put it on autopilot more or less. Which is funny because their autopilot was a lot better treatment than a lot of the franchises gotten from the Saban era. That's a discussion for another time. But the point is that Disney corporate didn't care so much about making it grow, but they did care about making money, so they put it on autopilot. But the people making the show, a lot of the people involved in making the show and the various details absolutely did care. And I think it's the same thing with Hasbro. I think it's a different scenario. I don't think they don't care. Like, you know, like, I don't care what happens. I don't care if we lose money and this brand tanks. That's stupid. And also, I'm never going to entertain the idea with any legitimate thought that they're purposely tanking the brand. That's just a stupid take. I mean, like, seriously. Why would they do that? On a huge corporate level, it would be a huge, stupid idea to lose money. And even if there was somebody, like, within the company that had a vendetta and wanted to kill it, that would just be a bad idea for job security. Anyway, the idea that they don't care. My take is it's similar to Disney. I don't think they don't care, it's just not as big of a priority. You know, their priority is with stuff like Transformers, which is their main brand. They have the Star Wars license. I mean, dude, it's the war. Come on, bro, it's the wars. I care about Star Wars more. They sell more. Those are bigger, real deal brands, so that they're gonna put more focus into those. Again, those toy lines are not immune to some of the problems we have here as well. You know, there are inconsistencies amongst the Black Series figures. A lot of their collectors' helmets and lightsabers, there's a lightsaber over here, you can't see it, don't feel worth the price also. But the point is I don't think they don't care, like they just don't care if it dies. I think that it's more like, yeah, this isn't as big of a priority, it's not as big of a brand, we don't need to put as much effort into it. You know, there's not as much reason to put effort into it on the big corporate level. That's what I think. So as a result, they try to cut corners. You know, it's always funny when people are like, they just want to make money. Company wants to make money? Dude, can you believe that? I think that's where we see a lot of the things like, you know, Lightning Collection quality declining, you know, changing factories or whatever the factors for that, whatever factories, thank you, lead to these QC issues and kind of these, you know, just sign off, no one's gonna notice, who cares, you know, type of stuff. I think that they are more willing to cut corners and let things slide when they don't care as much. Again, I don't think that they don't care in the sense that they want it dead, it's just not as much of a priority. But you can't paint everybody with that broad of a brush. I think it's probably some select corporate level things that only care about, you know, doing more minimum because Power Rangers isn't as much worth it. But I think that there's a lot of people both working on the entertainment side and the toy side that do care. And I see that with Lightning Collection. I think there's a lot of ambition with the scope of the things they want to release, whether it be Zap releases or weapon releases or just the variety we get. And just as a side note, I don't think they get enough credit for the variety they released. People hone in too much on like, oh, too much MMPR, blah, blah, blah. But like, yeah, there's a lot of MMPR, but dude, we've gotten a lot of variety. Like, seriously. I'm almost impressed with the amount of variety we've gotten. Not in a like, oh, I'm a Hasbro show way, but like, there could be way more MMPR shilling. Like, it's definitely there, but they have to keep it in check. So, I'm just saying. that was a total side tangent. I think that there is people that care, and I think there's people that are trying. In a way, it kind of reminds you of the Saban era. You know, people will romanticize whatever the previous era is, but Saban era wasn't that different. Where Saban's like known for that almost meme of like, I am Saban, he only cares about money. And that's kind of what it was. He had these very specific, outdated ideals of what he wanted it to be. He put these very strict rules on the show, and he ultimately just cared about the profit, because when, you know, everything didn't go the way he wanted with the movie, he just got rid of it. So it wasn't different than that. Like, Saban was no different than Hasbro, where you had corporate basically just wanting to make money in the most efficient way possible, but then below, on the lower levels, you know, you had people that actually did care. And you see a lot of that coming out now, even more so, about the Neo-Saban era, about all these things that people wanted to do, and this passion they had for the various shows and stuff that they didn't get to do because corporate was stifling it. I think it's a situation like that here, where you have the corporate people trying to save money and putting in more minimal effort, but I don't think everybody at Hasbro doesn't care. I think that people cartoonishly vilify Hasbro as this one big boss that Power Rangers is fighting, and I think it's silly. Something interesting to note too that we haven't had to deal with before in the past for literally the whole past era, including Neo Saban, Disney, and OG Saban, is the fact that one company is in charge of everything. You know, because Hasbro is the toy company and the production company, but in the past it was either Saban 1.0, Saban 2.0, or Disney partnered with Bandai. Like, yes, they were partnered with and there was collaboration, but you wouldn't have as many instances as people correlating hiccups in the toy line with the brand. You know, there's obviously a lot of criticism and stuff going on about the brand, you know, in terms of the show and the approach and the lack of news, which I'll touch on at the end. The point with this discussion is that you wouldn't have a correlation like that in the back in the day. You know, you would see a crappy bike figure on the shelf from Bandai, you know, because Bandai, especially later in the game, would make those bike figures that were unpainted, and you wouldn't see that and be like, Hasbro's trying to kill the brand. Or you would see it and be like, well, reboot's gonna suck, that figure's unpainted. Like, I seriously see complaints like that. I've legitimately seen an embarrassing amount of comments on Lightning Collection figures that people didn't like, that say, I can't believe the reboot's gonna suck because this figure. I mean, I'm embellishing it, but like basically that was the gist of it. Like, Hasbro's never going to be able to make a good show because like this, like, so you would never have that in the past. So that brings up this whole level of conversation where suddenly when there's problems in the toy line, suddenly it bleeds out into discussion that everything's going to suck. And I don't know exactly how all the structure works, but it is different departments. Like, what's going wrong with the Lightning Collection doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how Cosmic Fury is going to turn out or how the reboot's going to turn out. And it creates this interesting conversation we've never really had to deal with before. And I think that's kind of interesting, because you can say Hasbro doesn't care about the brand because of this figure thing, but that's probably unrelated to the guy over here writing the reboot that has no idea that the Dino Charge Chase figure showed up early at Target and people started going nuts over it. I mean, it's a very mixed situation, guys. I know that I can often feel more lenient. I think it's just because I think people can be more toxic about it than they need to be. I think there's absolutely problems that need to be addressed. You know, I won't lie, there is times that I do miss Bandai on the toy level in regards to the brand. Things were a lot more consistent. There were more releases more often, more quality releases. You know, the collector's line in regards to the weapons and morphers felt more worth the money. There's things I do miss about Bandai, but if I'm being honest, on the show level, I do not miss Saban brands at all. I by far prefer everything I'm hearing about Hasbro stuff. I like that we're moving in a more original direction, out of the restraints of the Saban mandates, hopefully out of the restraints of Sentai a little bit, even if we continue the kids show with some Sentai tie-ins and the reboot without it. I like a lot about what we're hearing. I know that's very different from what a lot of people want, but a lot of the stuff they're doing is stuff that I personally want and I'm excited about. So, and at the very least, I think it shows more ambition and difference than what Saban was doing, which is basically purgatory. So right now it's very mixed. I'm very disappointed with a lot of the stuff we're doing toy-wise right now. You know, we have a very bare bones mainline, tons of problems happening in the collector's figures. The, you know, World Play and Zap stuff isn't as bad, but they certainly don't feel worth the price. But show-wise, I definitely prefer us getting out of that purgatory. So I don't think it's all black and white. You know, I think that we shouldn't paint it with such a brush of like everybody doesn't care about it. I think it's a lot more complicated. I don't know how we get to a better spot or fix it, you know, because you have this weird thing where it's, you understand why they wouldn't want to put more effort into it because it's not a bigger brand. But at the same time, if you put more effort into it, you could get more eyeballs on it. My hope and thought is with the Netflix shows coming out, with Cosmic Fury, the reboot, that we get a little bit of a boost in popularity, which would encourage them to make better products and put more effort into it. And I think that's the best we can hope for. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.